But what we learn here is not just applicable in martial arts, it's applicable in life. How do you respond to stress? That shocks me through this foot and out the shoulder. So as you're doing that, I absorb it, and then I beat him to it. You know, I beat him to it, and then this is where, like, you know, where you can use martial arts to your benefit, because all of these principles, how do they express themselves in the long term, right? But you can test it out in a short-term period of creating a stress, and this is why martial arts are so good. For example, Tony, if I can borrow you, right? So say you get in a guard, right? And say I'm hooking, you don't have to block it. So I'm just going to go here, right? But I'm not going to hit. I'm going to do that. So there's a certain amount of force to get you off balance, but you just got to pretend that's a punch, right? So how do you deal with this coming through? So I'm just going to come here and push. Right? So let's see if he applies the internal principles. First, the pressure there, where is it creating stress for you? So he's trying to hold his balance through stabilizing these muscles and muscles in that leg. So if you start to release and stretch your spine, drop your hip, stretch your spine, now that's starting to come back to me, right? So that's the first aspect. One, relax. Right? It's not limp, it's relax, get yourself into equilibrium. That's what Sung is. Get yourself back into equilibrium. So here's the stress, get yourself back into equilibrium. As soon as that does that, the problem gets repelled away. Yeah? So this you can apply it in the long term in your life as well, right? I'll do this one where I'm coming this way. So I'm pushing him off balance there. Right? So I give him enough stress or enough force where it's really challenging him. Now Sung, relax, and he's starting to repel that force back out, right? And then we incrementally increase that force. So I'm coming in now, exactly. But then now how are you responding to it? Are you going into a state of equilibrium, or are you tensing up to respond to it, you know? So for example, say if you push me, first I want to experience it to get me off balance. Yeah, use all the force you got to get me off balance. That's it. And once I feel that, I Sung, or I get back to my equilibrium. He's challenging my base. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, and I relax my mind, because my mind's like, contracting into my body to hold balance. My force is all contracting. I relax my mind. And you see, I start to straighten up, and then his force starts to get repelled away. And then once I get really good at that, sorry. Right. So that's, if you can handle this sort of stress, and then we build this up to someone actually coming in, say you whack me here, that's it, like watch your shoulder when you do this, so when you have a bit of a bent elbow, and okay, so yeah, that's it. So there's that impact, and that could be, and that shocks me through this foot and out the shoulder. So as you're doing that, I absorb it, and then I beat him to it, you know? I beat him to it. And then more stress, because I'm not going to get hurt in my shoulder, right? And then we start doing it to the head. You wear the gloves, and then you go whack. And then I start blocking it first, and then how do I absorb it and have the same sort of effect? We can work on that a bit later. But there's different types of stress. There's physical stress right here, right now, or there's life stress, you know, financial stress, relationship stress, all sorts of different stresses. If you, first principle, you go into that Sung state of equilibrium, balance yourself out, and then with that, you have a higher degree of perception. If you're in a stress response, your perception narrows down and you go into survival mode, right? So this is how you'd apply principles in this context, in developing your life goals and spiritual development. It's all the same principles. you know. So, but doing it in this context highlights all these principles, and you see the effects of it. That's why martial art training, or at least Tai Chi and the rebounding and all that kind of stuff, shows you and gives you a measurement of what you're doing and how these principles can be beneficial in your life, you know. So you might not be interested in martial arts, but doing it into at least the rebounding effect, like for example, say if he's here, I'm putting my force into him, right? He swings, that force gets repelled away. At the same time, he's developing his physical body, his fascial web, where that gets more stronger and his body connects. Now you increase in vitality, right? And then his mind relaxes open, right? Now, because he's got a relaxed mind open, he's able to channel new ideas, new information, all this sort of stuff under stress, you know? And then the emotional reaction, he releases that open, and then the chi is able to do what he wants it to do. He's not responding to an emotion. It's like, I don't like this. And you just apply these same principles in all aspects of your life, then you got it, you know? That's the main goal. Like whether you're good at martial arts or not, it's irrelevant, you know, at the end of the day. It's good to have it, you know, but it's where are we taking our life, you know? So, yeah.